Dominica used to be the cheapest and most flexible option in the Caribbean. Among all the 5 Caribbean countries that offer citizenship, Dominica was known for having the fastest processing times as well as the lightest due diligence process. This has caused some problems in recent times. For example, they lost their visa-free access to the UK and Ireland. I believe that after the harmonization that took place in the Caribbean, basically increasing the minimum investment thresholds to $200,000, as well as sharing information among these countries, I think this has improved a lot the perception of the program, but still it's not a program that I would recommend to someone who is interested in getting Caribbean citizenship, because the prestige is not as good as other Caribbean programs that are almost around the same cost. And when you are going for not so strong passport, maybe you would have better options that are cheaper, that are faster, like for example Vanuatu. I would say Dominica is definitely the weakest passport of the 5 Caribbean passports that you can get by investment. For some people, the faster processing times and the lightest due diligence of this program might be worth it, but I don't think generally it's a good deal, because in the end, it's not that you're saving half a year. You're probably saving at best 1 or 2 months comparing to the strongest options in the Caribbean, like St. Kitts and Nevis or Antigua and Barbuda. And in terms of cost, you're not saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. At best, you're saving some thousands of dollars. So it's hard for me to understand why some people would go for Dominica. You could argue that for some nationalities that Dominica accepts, like for example Iranians, they make it a bit easier to get into the program than other Caribbean countries that have stronger requirements, that require these Iranian nationals to have been out of Iran for longer, to have less ties to the country. So I would say that in those very specific cases, it makes sense to go for Dominica. But in any other cases, especially after they raised the minimum donation to $200,000 plus government fees, it's not such an attractive program anymore. As with all the Caribbean programs, the promised processing time in Dominica is 3 to 4 months, but the reality is that they take way longer than that. Dominica, it's true, it's one of the fastest. It usually takes 4 to 9 months, let's say, worst case. It is not as bad as in other countries in the Caribbean that might take up to 20 months. But still, it's not what is promised, and it's significantly slower than some of the fastest countries like Vanuatu. So in Dominica, you have 2 routes available. One is the $200K donation, and another one is a real estate investment. Generally, we do not recommend the Caribbean real estate investment routes because they involve government-approved real estate, and it's generally way more expensive than free market real estate. So if you are really interested in investing in real estate in the Caribbean region, you are in most cases better off simply getting the citizenship, investing in citizenship, and then separating the real estate investment from that decision. And once you are a citizen, then you can just buy real estate in the open market, and it's usually a way better deal. Even if Dominica has probably the worst reputation among all the 5 Caribbean programs, I think that the last update of the program, basically increasing the minimum investment and improving the communication with other countries, are a good sign of the success of the program. We'll still need to see how the program evolves, especially with the pressures of the European Union that are basically what worry these countries the most, because one of their big selling points is the visa-free access to Europe. So if they lose it, it might cause a loss of new investors that are not so interested in the programs as they don't give you visa-free access to Europe. So we'll see how it evolves. And even if Dominica lost visa-free access to the UK and Ireland, it's still quite a strong passport. It has access to several regions of the world. For example, you get access visa-free to Europe, to the EU. So it's generally still a strong passport. Like I said, not as strong as other options in the Caribbean, like St. Kitts and Nevis or Antigua and Barbuda, but it's still a solid option.